Yeah! Smashing stuff! Godfall was the first announced game on the PS5, premiering at the Game Awards in December of 2019. And to hear the company describe it, it was going to be an industry-changing game.
Godfall is a brand new, brand new, awesome.
All right, this show's on fire.
All this, and it's the first game on the PS5. The hype was there, and then there was silence. Until the PlayStation 5 Direct in June and a new trailer dropped, and the game looked awesome. The combat was so fluid, beautiful environments and textures, hyped weapons. Alright, I see you now. The game was officially the action RPG star of the show, and then 15 minutes later, we heard this. Counterplay games must have been themselves. No, they are not the exact same type of game, but for most players wanting an action RPG, Godfall had officially taken a back seat because From Software has created all of these, and Counterplay Games had created all of one. The hype was lost, and when it launched, sales reflected that big time, with it barely selling over a quarter of what Demon's Souls sold in the first week. Well, so what if it didn't sell phenomenally? Maybe it has rave reviews and will be the sleeper hit of the year. Oh. Critics were indifferent and a majority of players hated it. I have serious doubts there will ever be a Godfall 2 because of all of this. However, is the game actually that bad? Bad is such a strong word. Let's go with other B words that describe it though. Beautifully boring. And the game is beautiful. The textures on your character, enemies, the environment, gorgeous. This is one of the best looking games on the PS5, and they definitely use their resources to make it really stand out. You get to explore 4 separate realms in the game, each of its own unique scenery and lush enough to come to life. However, while each of these worlds brings scenery to the eyes to take in, the levels within the worlds all look nearly the same and are very static within themselves. After 5 minutes in a level, you've seen everything it has to offer scenery-wise, and everywhere will begin to look the same. Turn right, you see plants and rocks. Turn left, you see plants and rocks. Run over here, and you see plants and rocks. And the levels are enormous. You can run for minutes in these levels and never hit a boundary. But know what you will hit? Plants and rocks. Because the levels are so static in their scenery and so enormous, it is incredibly easy to get lost after the main mission has been completed. The game needs a map system to really help with this. Maps are sometimes viewed as a thing of the past in games because game levels have become so diverse with memorable landmarks, but this game, you need a map specifically for it not following that new game rule. I don't think they know what a landmark is in this game unless they consider a landmark being plants and rocks. Within each level you have a core mission to accomplish, either a boss to defeat or an area to activate, and to get there you go through hordes of enemies, which brings us to our next part, which is the combat in the game. Your combat feels powerful. Each move is hard-hitting, and with the rumble of the DualSense controller, you really sense that power. You have several base attack moves you can do, and a whole tree of skills to unlock to enhance your moves as you progress in the game. You have standard charge bars for certain attacks and small combos to complete. However, you never feel particularly rewarded for performing any of these. They don't seem like they do that much more damage than just your base attacks. Halfway through the game, I slowly came to realize nearly all of my progress was attributed to spamming R1 over and over and over. You can also swap your armor out by finding collectibles in the environment, but while at first that seemed to have awesome different moves, you rarely end up using them at all and going back to just your standard attacks because the rewards seem so low for actually using them. The upgraded moves and armors appear special when you start, but sort of like the graphics, the more you play, the more shallow and useless they seem to become. While the attacking became fairly static, how's the game hold up on one of its greatest claims to fame, the looting and finding of more and more powerful weapons? You start the game and immediately start finding amazing weapons to swap between. Whether it's a massive hammer, dual blades, great swords, or plenty of other options, you are upgrading to more powerful gear constantly. This is exciting and makes you feel powerful immediately. However, this doesn't last because the weapon variety after the first hour is nearly always the same. Slightly more powerful, or actually in most cases less powerful, of literally the exact same weapon and moveset over and over. What at first was thrilling is now just a sea of weapons that will never be used. The looting of new weapons begins to feel pointless. The only weapons really worth using are the ones from core boss battles, and all the other ones just serve to sell off for supplies. But why are you even fighting through these worlds and obtaining this loot? What's the story? The game starts off with a very dynamic opening. You are tasked with essentially taking down a god named Marcos who has taken a wrong turn in life and is bringing on the apocalypse. The cutscenes are pretty cool to start, and displaying your character, you immediately start feeling pretty badass. As you journey through the game though, the story becomes less and less cool, and the cutscenes become less and less awesome. About 5 hours into the game, the story had pretty much lost my interest completely, and I actually went into the settings and just swapped it to allow me to skip the cutscenes altogether. The flash at the start of the game faded quickly. Another claim to fame this game has is the idea of adding RPG elements into the looter genre. At first it seemed to be there. You gain experience, you level up, you're getting skill points. However, you never actually upgrade core aspects of your character like dexterity or health or strength or anything like that. You just buy skills when you upgrade. But as mentioned earlier, these upgrades don't really change the battle strategy all that much. Your upgrading character doesn't come across anywhere near as unique as other RPG games. I've played other RPGs where it had a similar mechanic of upgrading a skill tree over actual attributes. However, in those games I always came away feeling like the upgrades truly helped me and my character was unique. Here, I came away feeling like my character had never changed and that also my character was identical to all the other players. If you haven't noticed, this is the trend in the game. Tons of flash to pull you in and then slowly fade that magic away. Whether it's the graphics, the story, the gameplay, the RPG elements, the looting, the game knows what you want to see. It gives it to you immediately and then fades that away very, very fast. It's like the company had some really great ideas, but no way to fully execute what they had imagined. They wanted to be the first game announced on the PS5, and they were. It's just too bad it will also be one of the first forgotten games on the PS5 as well. What were your thoughts on Godfall? Did you find the game enjoyable? Did you find the game boring? Let me know down below in the comments section. And if you enjoyed the video, be sure and like and subscribe to the channel. And as always, go out there, find a great game to play, and just simply have a great rest of the day.